husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the schedule.
Dive in, shall we? So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds kicked out from Wrexham ownership after Blake Lively scandal. Yep, that's the headline blowing up all over Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channels with a red arrow pointing at Ryan Reynolds looking shocked in the thumbnail. And you know what? It sounds insane. Ryan Reynolds kicked out from the football club he literally bought with his own money. And why? Because of something his wife, Blake Lively, supposedly did? If that sounds like a bizarre episode of Keeping Up with Wrexham, well, that's because it probably is. But let's not jump to conclusions just yet. You and I both know how the internet works. The second someone sneezes in Hollywood, the next thing you know, there's a breaking news headline saying they've been exiled to Mars. So, before we start picturing Ryan packing his bags and dramatically walking out of Wrexham Stadium in slow motion, let's actually break this whole thing down. What's the truth and what's just online drama? And more importantly, is Ryan Reynolds actually in trouble? So, in case you missed it, because honestly, I was kind of floored too, Ryan and Rob, the Dream Team duo, took over Wrexham AFC, a club that's been around since the 1800s, which is way older than I am, but don't remind me. This happened back in 2021. Ryan Reynolds, the king of quirky, sarcastic humor, and Rob McElhenney, the guy who looks like he could start his own dad joke empire, roll up to a football club in Wales and decide, yeah, why not? Let's buy this thing.
Yeah, so I've been very successful. I've been very fortunate, but I do work in basic cable late night comedy television. So I've got TV money.
Sure.
I needed movie star money. I needed superhero.
And this wasn't any random sports investment. It's like if your favorite celebrity and their best friend decided to buy a tiny cafe in your neighborhood and turn it into an influencer hotspot, but instead of a cafe, it's a football club. And instead of a few trendy lattes, it's a whole legacy of kicking soccer balls around in front of thousands of screaming fans. Back then, it wasn't all glamorous headlines and football victories. For one, Ryan wasn't exactly a football expert. The guy is a Hollywood mogul, not a sports analyst. So you can imagine jumping into a whole new world of football ownership, trying to figure out club finances, player contracts, and the massive expectations from fans. It was like being thrown into a Premier League match with no training. And Wrexham wasn't exactly in a winning position when they took over. The team was in the 5th tier of English football, not exactly the prime league to be in if you want to make headlines. The facilities were outdated, the players were underpaid, and the fans were just looking for some hope. Honestly, it was like trying to turn a rusty old car into a sports car. It was going to take time, and probably a few engine fixes. But they didn't just slap a few bucks down and call it a day. Oh no, Ryan and Rob had plans. Big ones, like make Wrexham great again big. Their vision was to take this club, which had been floating around in the lower leagues, and turn it into a global powerhouse. And when I say powerhouse, I don't mean a random underdog team that wins a few matches. Nah, they were looking at Champions League kind of stuff. Real football royalty vibes. They wanted to put money into the club, like serious cash, into everything from player training to upgrading the stadium and building top-notch facilities. Because let's face it, if you're going to have a bunch of angry fans yelling at you from the stands, the least you can do is give them a nice place to sit, right? And they were not doing this secretly. They created the whole media circus. People went wild over the fact that 2 Hollywood stars, Ryan Reynolds, the guy who was probably busy with Deadpool and drinking gin, and Rob McElhenney, the guy who made It's Always Sunny a thing, decided to buy a Welsh football club. It was like they created their own reality TV show with no cameras involved. They wanted to put Wrexham on the map. They wanted to build this little club into something that would be globally recognized. And I mean, they were serious. They made it sound like Wrexham was about to become the next Real Madrid. You and I both know that's exactly what happened. But with that, December 2024 happened as well.
Pull you in.
Where have you seen this?
I don't think people realize how involved she was in this movie. And she's a producer on the film from the beginning to the end. She was extremely involved, and she really made the film better.
Blake Lively. Yes, the very same Blake Lively, who's basically the epitome of glamorous, does she even sleep 24 hours a day vibes, decides she's had enough and files a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, the guy from Jane the Virgin. Now, just so we're all clear, this wasn't some little tiff over who ate the last bag of chips on set. No. Lively accused Baldoni of pretty serious stuff, claiming he harassed her during their time working on It Ends With Us, the romantic drama everyone and their dog has heard about, mostly because of the insane popularity it generated. Now, Ryan Reynolds is somehow linked to everything, and here's exactly how. Baldoni, clearly not the kind of guy who just lets things slide, hits back with a lawsuit of his own. A big one, like $400 million worth of big. Yeah, that's the kind of number you see in James Bond movies, not actual legal disputes. He's accusing Blake and Ryan of defamation. Defamation, and now here we are, with lawyers probably getting richer by the minute while we sit back and watch the real-life drama. So why does this even matter? Well, turns out this whole legal mess could be dragging Ryan Reynolds through the mud a bit. Public perception is everything. The second there's a bit of controversy tied to someone, suddenly everyone wants to know how it affects their other ventures. And guess what? People have been starting to link these lawsuits to Reynolds' involvement with Wrexham. I mean, how could they not? The guy's married to Blake, and now they're both involved in this legal drama. Can you imagine the headlines? Ryan Reynolds, from Deadpool to defamation drama. So now people are starting to side-eye him at the next match, like, wait, does he really want to deal with football stuff, or is he too busy in court? Because, you know, Wrexham needs drama like it needs a hole in the head. If they wanted that, they could have just gone for reality TV. But the reality is, so far, there's no official word that this is actually affecting Reynolds' role at Wrexham. Like, nothing. It's all speculation and headlines. But that doesn't mean he isn't facing any backlash at all. This whole legal mess might put pressure on his other business ventures, including his beloved Wrexham. I mean, can you imagine? Ryan Reynolds, the dude who's now part owner of a football club, also dealing with a $400 million lawsuit. That's a lot to juggle. Now, I can almost hear the clickbait headlines now. Ryan Reynolds' divorce drama causes Wrexham to lose League One spot, but I'm not sure if it's that big of a deal. Ryan Reynolds is the king of managing his image, and despite the noise, his brand is still the same. Cool, collected, and funny. In fact, the club is climbing the ranks, getting promoted, and making headlines for actual football instead of the Hollywood gossip surrounding the owners. Wrexham's fans are more concerned about whether their team will make it to the Premier League in the next 5 years. The club hasn't released a single statement about Ryan Reynolds leaving. No boardroom meetings, no "we're discussing this internally" lines, just crickets. But that doesn't stop the internet from making headlines like Ryan Reynolds kicked out of Wrexham, shocking scandal exposed, is Ryan leaving Wrexham? You won't believe what happens next, is honestly a bit too much.